Hello Ultraman fans and welcome back to Toku Topics. So this is pretty uncharacteristic. I'm making an Ultraman video today. It's not the first time that I made Ultraman video content here on the channel, but they don't ever really do that well. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't make them. So basically today, the kind of point of this video existing in the first place is that I did cover Ultraman in my most recent Patreon exclusive live stream. So I'm going to be sharing the clip of that later on in this video where I talk about Ultraman Blazar and his toys, because this is probably the closest, and I haven't made a decision yet if I'm going to get it one way or the other, but this is probably the most tempted I've been to pre-order or to buy an Ultraman transformation device since Zet. Zet had an amazing toy line that I really liked with all the Ultra Metals. I collected every single one of those back in 2020. I did get the Spark Lens from Trigger in 2021, and I did do a video about it. But for Decker, I just wasn't really drawn in with the cards, with the D-Flasher, and so the only Decker thing that I got was his Ultra Hero Series vinyl, because I do collect those as well. So first of all, Kamen Blazar is going to be our next Ultraman series premiering in July, following the traditional schedule of a new show premiering in July and kind of lasting to like December-ish. And it's not exactly what we expected it to be. So the last two Ultraman series, Trigger and Decker, were basically not remakes, but they were sort of reimaginings of the original series Ultraman Tiga and Dyna. And that is part of a trilogy of Ultraman shows that were all somewhat connected back in the 90s, including Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia. So since we had Tiga become Trigger, and we had, or not become, but like is similar to, and then we had Decker be somewhat similar to Dyna, it was always assumed that we were going to get kind of a new generation Gaia this year. We're not. First of all, the suit. I think this looks pretty cool, actually. So I like the kind of mixed matched aspect of this, where it's like not basically congruent on each side. The red and the blue definitely give me a sort of a build vibe, and a lot of Ultramans have red and blue, or they definitely, a lot of them have red. But I really like the flame kind of thing he's got on the one eye, but not on the other one. It's a very asymmetrical suit that makes me think of like Saga or something, kind of, with some of the aspects to it. And I'm a fan. This is cool. I like this. It's an original feeling thing. It feels a little bit unique, a little bit different, but still clearly an Ultraman. And so it's a suit that I'm a fan of. What I'm also a fan of is who's going to be playing Trigger. So the actor who's playing Trigger is the same person who played the Heart Roimude from Kamen Rider Drive. So that's really cool. Doesn't mean his character is going to be anything like Heart, of course, but I like that actor. I liked him a lot in Drive. So I think it's going to be cool to see him as the new host of Ultraman in this show. So of course the toy for this show is going to be the Blazar brace, which we can see him wearing in this picture here. And that's where I kind of covered it in my clip in my other video. So let's go ahead and check out my thoughts on the Blazar brace and the Blazar medals, I think is what they're called, or something along the lines of that, because they're very similar to Ultra medals and even to like Sentai gears, and that's kind of why I'm sort of tempted to buy them. So here's my thoughts on that.
The final thing I want to talk about here tonight, and that is Ultraman, because every time I do an Ultraman video, it just doesn't do well. But since there was a whole new Ultraman show announced a couple weeks ago, I figured I might as well cover it a little bit. So we have Ultraman Blazar. That's going to be the next series here. We have the poster here on the left, and the main device, which if I remember correctly, was called the Blazar bracelet, which looks pretty cool. I see that Ultraman is taking a cue from Sentai gears, because that's basically what these are. They look like Sentai gears, essentially. But what's really cool about this is that, so from what I understand, the show is going to have the device in it. But as you can see, there's, 10? I don't know what these are called, Blazar medals or whatever they are, just little Ultraman medals. Those are going to be, Kamen said they give Power Queen vibes, absolutely. Basically, there's a bunch of them down here for Legend Ultraman, because just like Rider and Sentai, they do Legend gimmicks all the time. So like, I think only the one in the top left, I think, is Blazar, and everybody else, it's kind of hard to tell just by the design of them. And also a lot of Ultraman look very similar. I do know my Ultraman. I'm not as knowledgeable about that franchise as I am Sentai, Rider, and Rangers. But I know that we have, I think, if I could be getting them wrong, but I think we have Blazar, Ultraman, I want to say Tiga, maybe Dyna, or possibly Decker, which we just had, because they're very similar. Not sure which one that is at the top there. Zed is there. Zero, Belial, Victory, and I think Ginga. I'm pretty confident about the bottom row. But what I understand is that the Blazar medal is going to be in the show, but the other 9 are going to be toy line exclusives, so all of the Legend ones are not going to be in the show, which is an interesting choice to do a Legend Rider or do a Legend Ultraman gimmick yet again, but not have it be in the show. So that's kind of interesting. And I don't know, I'm tempted because like it's a simple device, But what's really neat about it is that it looks like when you put the metals in, it's going to recreate the chest design on the toy, like with LEDs. And like that looks pretty sick. Like, I mean, for like a small little screen, it basically looks like it has, and I know comics probably won't, this won't be a good comparison for you, but it has very similar vibes to the Driver screen from Drive, where it had this LED screen that would spin around and create a new light compared to whatever gimmick you used. I'm trying to think, I don't think there's anything like that for Sentai that they've done. But this is sweet. And also the Driver one for Rider was just a red light. Like every picture that it made was just, it could only do red. Here, obviously, it's multicolored at least red, blue, yellow, and whites, and green, and purple. So like, it looks like it could do a lot. And like that looks really clean. Like on the first one here, we have Ultraman. That's the original Ultraman. And then we have Ultraman Tiga and Ultraman Ginga. So very popular shows from, I think Tiga was from 1997, and then Ginga was from 2013. All three of these make perfect sense, in my opinion, to be kind of the demo ones that they show off here. But Ultraman, it gets me, man, because like I've never once finished an Ultraman series. Sometimes I just can't get into it. But I really like the designs of this franchise, and most of the time the toys look pretty cool. I wasn't tempted very much at all by the Decker toys last year. I do collect the little Ultraman vinyls because they're $5 a piece, and I think really good representation for this. But I kind of want this. I like to see what some video reviews and like what sounds that it does in relation to the screens. But I might have to pick this up. The problem with it though is that like, and this shouldn't stop me from making videos, but like, I know the video on this like wouldn't do well. That's why I didn't make a Toku Talks for it or anything like that. And I'm only covering it here in the stream. But I don't know. Maybe I'll clip this part 2 and upload it as a video and just kind of see how it does. I know my buddy Vaughn would really like to see me talk about Ultraman stuff on here, but I don't know. If the views aren't there, I just can't bring myself to have the time to spend the time to make Ultraman content. Even though as much as I would like to talk about it to some degree, but I don't know. That looks freaking cool. I had to mention it in some capacity, but I do believe that is the end of the slides that I have, so we can go ahead and get rid of that.
But with that, that's everything I wanted to talk about here today for Ultraman Blazar. So let me know down in the comments below. Would you like to see more Blazar-related videos? I will probably check it out, at least the first episode of it when it premieres in July, because I at least watched one episode of Trigger and one episode of Decker, and I just never went much further than that for either one of those shows. And we'll see if I end up buying the toy or not. The demand would need to be there to justify me buying it for the channel to do a video on, because I just have so many other things to collect and to make videos on that Ultraman is not a priority. But being Toku Topics, I do want to include it in videos occasionally, Ultraman-related things, because I do collect the Ultra Hero Series vinyl figures in the background. I just don't ever really talk about them. So let me know your guys' thoughts about Blazar down in the comments below, your thoughts on the Ultraman franchise as a whole, what shows you recommend that I should watch since I've still never finished one. I have over there in my room, I have the Jeed, Orb, and Tiga like sets from the Mill Creek releases, so like I have Ultraman stuff. I just never talk about it. So that's going to do it. So, of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LiveRangerKey or LightningFigPR, and I will see you all later. To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, MCPC Studios, Comics 1017, James Darty, John Luke, Eric Berry, Tyler Bezetsky, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Pyramidus, CPT Tesla, Cross SCV, Caboose Ed, Socket Monsters, Anthony Love, Daniel Pika, Hella Geo, Thrasher, Jesus Prime, and Uni Warrior Thomas. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, linked in the description below.